The first time I was homeless in Hawaii was about 10 years ago. I had been the manager for a shady farm in Waianae. Waianae is the most Hawaiian part of Hawaii. A Hawaiian guy I knew in the mainland from Kona town would call me a few times, and he was very impressed because you hardly see any Caucasians in Waianae, and it's recommend tourists don't go there. If you haven't noticed, I'm not your typical quote-unquote haole. I have a chill vibe, and I'm very respectful to everybody. I'm a different breed. I think of some of the haughty-daughty rich kids I went to school with at UT. Those cats wouldn't have made it 2 weeks in Waianae. When I ended up having to leave the farm, it was actually because I refused the advances of two of the women that were working there. I had two nicknames on the farm. One was Jesus. The other was Greg with the golden dick. This was because I refused sexual advances and I wasn't promiscuous like everybody else was. However, the main guy of the farm, Surya, was a nice guru from India, but he was off in India. He was actually from Sri Lanka, but he was in India at the time. And even though I was the manager and was supposed to be in charge, I was kicked off the farm by the quote-unquote security, which was a local Waianae guy named Ken. Ken had an extensive criminal record and drug habit, and I had seen with my own eyes him give some guy a hernia by punching him in the stomach. You know all those MMA fighters that you hear are from Hawaii? Well, they're all from Waianae, this same exact neighborhood. And the reason Ken wanted me to leave is because he wanted the two girls that I had previously rejected. I had only been in Hawaii for a few months, and that whole entire time was in Waianae. I knew nothing about the island and knew anything. I didn't have anywhere to go and no money. Should have sued the fuck out of the owner of the farm, who was actually the owner of the largest organic foods in the USA. I didn't have any to sleep, but when darkness hit, I had to find somewhere because Waianae is not a safe place after dark. Right before the sun went down, I remembered an ancient Japanese graveyard that we discovered on a short hike one morning. I remembered it didn't look like anybody lived there. All the tombstones were knocked over and everything was overgrown. Knowing how superstitious Hawaiians are, and being in the most Hawaiian part of Hawaii, I knew I'd probably have the joint to myself, me and the skeleton crew. I lived at that Japanese graveyard for 2 weeks, getting my head straight and figuring out my life. At first, I set up a tent every night. Then I finally just slept on the tombstones. Some of the craziest dreams I ever had was during these 2 weeks I lived in that graveyard. Some nights when it got chilly, I'd curl up against the coffins. Every night it was just me and the ghost. Only once did I actually run into anyone. It was in the middle of the night. Follow for part 2.